or listen to your voice, that you shall take water from the river and pour it on the dry land. The water which you take from the river will become blood on the dry land. Verse 10. Then Moses said to the Lord, O Lord my God, I am not eloquent, neither before nor since you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. So the Lord said to him, Who has made man's mouth? Or who has made the mute, the deaf, the seeing, or the blind? Have I not the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth and teach you what you shall say. Verse 13, and he said, O my Lord, please send by the hand of whomever else you may send. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses. And he said, Is not Aaron the Levite your brother? I know that he can speak well. And look, he's also coming out to meet you. And so on and so forth. Now this is a long story, but in this story, we encountered, or Moses encountered the Lord. And the Lord knew what was happening, with his people, the Israelites, and God was raising Moses up to deliver his people out of Egypt. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever made excuses in your life? Okay, most of us are young, we're growing up, your mom comes to your room and say, Get up! Go to breakfast! Make your bed!
就像是你妈妈到你的房间里面告诉你起床，
And you're like,
要再睡懒觉，
5 minutes.
你就说哦，再5分钟啦。
2 days later, your bed is still in the same shape.
然后2天之后，你的床还是长。
Or, someone calls you on the phone.
或者是有人打电话给你。
or you're busy doing something.
然后你很忙的在做一些事。
And you're like,
就说哦
not him again.
不要再是他了，拜托。挂掉。
We give excuses.
我们一直在找理由，找借口。
Always in our lives.
总是在找借口。
But in this story,
但在这个故事里面，摩西
gave many excuses.
他找了非常非常多的借口。
Okay, and there are 5 that I want to share you today.
还有5个想要跟你分享的。
Okay, the first one is in chapter 3, verse 11 and 12. The Lord called him when Moses was 80 years old.
神呼召摩西的时候是当摩西80岁的时候。
He's probably like limping, it's
他大概
old.
走不太动。
And so it's not, we got to give some, maybe, sympathize with Moses a little bit. When he said, verse 11 says, Moses said, Who am I, Lord, that you're calling me? I'm 80 years old, I'm old.
所以那时候摩西就对神说：“我是什么人？我已经80岁，你还要叫我去做这些事？”
Go look for Alex. He plays basketball every Saturday. He's strong.
去找我们的
Yeah, he's athletic. Go look for him.
找他去好了。
He's a better guy, but not me.
不要我，好不好？80
My
岁。
hair is gray.
我已经
I can't even manage, a few flights on the stairs. But anyhow.
我没有办法做一些事情。
We often tell ourselves, we're nobody.
我们有时候常常告诉自己说：“哦，我不是谁啊，我什么都不是，我。”
God, you're calling me?
但是神，你呼召我？
No way.
不可能。
In line with what we're saying today, the call of God in our lives, you will, in part of discovering your call in your life, you will come into a point of crisis like what Moses is going through, and you will say, me?
所以有可能你就会跟摩西一样遇到这样的状况，你会跟神说：“我
know,
吗？”
I don't know what God is calling you to do, but I do know that you will come to this point.
我不知道神呼召你做什么，但是我知道你也会遇到一样
And
的
you're
状
going
况
to。say, Lord, me?
你会跟神说：“神，我吗
And the good news is？”
好消息是，
that God already knew
神已经知
or
道，
knows
已经了解，
His plans for your life.
在你生命当中的
And
计划
if。He calls you to do something,
如果他要你去做什么事情，
He's going to make it happen.
他就会让那个成就。
One of the other things that God has spoken to my heart in my early Christian years, and I told you earlier about when I was 16 and how God was moving in my life. But in my late teens and early 20s,
在我大概20几岁的时候，神告诉我，
The Lord spoke to my heart, saying, Cornelius, you're gonna go to ORU one day.
神告诉他说你会去到 ORU，
And I had never heard of ORU.
他从来没有听过 ORU。
All I knew about ORU was, this mission team from the U.S. had come to my church, and I was spending time with them.
他唯一知道 ORU 就是从美国来的一个宣教团体到新加坡去，他就
And one of the guys, were talking about university, and he said, oh, there's this Christian university in the U.S. called Oral Roberts University.
所以其中有个人就说，哦，有一个美国的大学叫做 ORU。
And that was it. He didn't say anymore.
他没有在说任何东西，就这样。
But what he said
但是他说
dropped
的
into my spirit.
就掉到我心里面。
I couldn't understand. I was like, ORU, ORU, ORU. Like for the next few nights, I was just thinking about ORU.
所以他那个几个晚上他就一直讲
I went to the
ORU。
online and looked for it and found out about it, and
他
I
就
did
上
my
网去
homework.
查 ORU 的资料。
And I said, Lord, ORU, me?
他就说 ORU 我吗？
How am I going to get the money?
我怎么可能会有钱？
How's it going to happen? I wasn't born into a rich family.
我又不是家里面有钱。
16 or 14 years later,
在15年之后，
I'm here
他
in the flesh
肉身的在这里，
in Tulsa, Oklahoma,
活生生的长在这个
getting
地方。
finishing 2 degrees from ORU.
所以他在 ORU 已经念完了。
Now, what I'm trying to say, that the call of God is so sure in our lives
所以我想要告诉你们的就是神的呼召在我们的生命
that
当中是
you
非常的真
and
实。
I should not give excuses.
所以你跟我都不应该找借口。
Whatever God has called us to, our response should not be, who am I, Lord? I'm a nobody.
就算是神呼召你的时候，你会跟神说啊，我是谁啊？
Our response should be,
我什么都
yes,
不能
Lord.
做。你应该要是说神啊，我愿意，我愿意，
I believe you.
我相信你，
It's going to happen.
他会成就，
It's going to happen.
会发生的。
Okay, the second excuse that Moses gave is in verse 13 to 15.
第二个借口是在第13节。
Moses' excuse was, what shall I say to these people?
摩西说对神说，我应该要对他们说什么？
He's gone past the first stage. He said, okay, God, I get it. All right, if you're calling me, all right, I'll do it. I'm somebody. I'm not nobody. All right, I'll take it. But what shall I say?
对啊，他经过了第一个借口，神说服他，然后第二个借口他就说，那我要说什么呢？
They knew my background.
他知道我从哪来的。
I was, someone prominent in the palace
他
with the Pharaoh.
之前我是住在宫里面的。
And you can imagine that the Israelites will look to Moses and say, well, you had your good life, and so, you can say all these things because you've had a good life, but what about us? We're slaves all our lives.
所以他大概会想说，那些以色列人，他们从小就是做苦工，但是他从小就生长在宫殿里面，他们不了解他们的生
Just
活。
like Moses, don't give us all this, baloney about, being delivered and everything. We're just slaves, all right?
所以这些以色列人根本就不会听他的话，他一定会想说啊，你 从小就吃好。
Yeah, you had your good life. You were in the palace. You had your good stuff. But not us.
对他8成这些以色列人就会对摩西说，你跟我们的
So
环境完全不
you
同。
can imagine how insecurity can creep into his heart.
所以你可以想一下摩西他心里面有多么的没有安全
He's
感。
like, Lord, what do I say?
他就说神啊，我应该要对这些人说什么呢？
And what did God tell him?
神告诉他什么呢？
God told him that, tell them that I am the I am.
神对摩西说，你要告诉他说，我是自由拥有的。他说，那自由的打发你。
You know what's interesting about that statement?
你知道这句话的意思是
Is
什么
that
吗？
God did not answer Moses directly.
事实上，神根本没有直接回答这个问
He
题。
didn't tell Moses, all right, Moses, you asked a question, what shall I say? I'm going to give you a formula. Say A, B, C, D, E.
他并没有给摩西一个守则，就是说你要说这个1到5。
God just told him, tell them I am the I am.
他就是要他告诉他们说，我是
In
那
other
个
words,
自由拥
in
有
other
的。
words, God is telling Moses, Moses, tell him, I am the man. I am the man. I'm the dude, all right? I'm the one.
就是告诉他们，就说我就是那个。我就是那
Now,
个
it may be very simplistic, but if you understand the power of those words. That when God says that I am the